not involved in a punishment beating, but an RUC detective said the incident was consistent with other punishment beatings. It's understood another 3 men will appear in court in Belfast tomorrow, charged in connection with the same incident.
Pamela Valentine at the news desk.
Fein's Mary Nelis. She's a member of Derry City Council and a delegate at the Forum for Peace and Reconciliation. Meanwhile, the woman at the centre of the case is being held in police protective custody, but relatives have issued a High Court writ asking if she's being held against her will.
The brother and sister of 21-year-old Strabane woman Claire Diver made their application to the High Court in Belfast. A lawyer said Miss Diver's family were concerned about the circumstances of her detention due to her psychiatric condition and drug abuse. The family's lawyer said the court should ascertain if she was not being held against her will. The court issued a notice of motion directing a response from the RUC Chief Constable. Elsewhere, have been charged with unlawfully imprisoning Miss Diver following an incident 2 weeks ago at her home in Derry's Ballymacrotty area. Those charged are local men Noel McCartney and Terence Meehan and Sinn Fein councillor Mary Nelis. The 2 men are further charged with intimidation. It's expected all 3 will appear at Belfast Magistrates Court tomorrow, and a file is being prepared for the DPP. Those charged were among a number of people arrested yesterday. Their arrests and a subsequent search of Sinn Féin offices in the Bogside sparked trouble between the RUC and Republicans. The police have now released the remaining 3 without charge. They appeared at a Sinn Féin demonstration this afternoon outside Strand Road RUC station in Derry.
Late this afternoon, affidavits sworn by 2 senior RUC officers confirmed that Mrs. Diver was receiving witness protection from the police. One officer said she was lucid and alert and entirely content with her present circumstances. The other officer said the police investigation began after Mrs. Diver complained that she'd been falsely imprisoned for 4 hours at the Sinn Féin Centre in Derry's Cable Street 2 weeks ago and intimidated out of her home the following day. The habeas corpus application was adjourned until tomorrow.
Good evening. We've heard within the last few minutes that the Prime Minister John Major has now arrived at the Tower Museum in Londonderry about 90 minutes after his visit there was disrupted and called off because of demonstrations by Republican supporters. They clashed with police in the city centre just before Mr. Major was due to arrive at the museum. Our political correspondent Stephen Grimison reports.
Demonstrators from a number of Republican pressure groups in Londonderry had gathered outside the Tower Museum an hour before the Prime Minister was due to arrive. It had been widely predicted that Mr. Major would use this occasion to meet Sinn Féin chairman Mitchell McLaughlin, who was among the invited guests. But violent scuffles broke out when police moved in to clear a path for Mr. Major, and it took them almost an hour to force the demonstrators out of Union Hall Place. Police fought a running battle with protesters as the trouble spilled into the Guildhall area. Bottles, stones and other missiles were thrown. With the Prime Minister's visit already behind schedule, it's understood the police advised the Northern Ireland office that they could not guarantee Mr. Major's safety, and the visit to the museum was cancelled. Sinn Féin chairman Mitchell McLaughlin claimed the police had caused the trouble by reneging on an agreement with stewards, but a DUP councillor who was jostled by the crowd as he arrived at the museum said fascist thugs had forced the Prime Minister out of the city.
He was forced into an embarrassing climb down, and unfortunately now next week he's going to authorise one of his ministers to meet with these people, and he's going to tell us that these people are committed to the democratic process and they're a bunch of fascist thugs.
Mr. Major was expected in Londonderry at 3 o'clock to visit the Tower Museum. His planned meeting at the Guildhall to meet city councillors was set aside to tacitly avoid the situation where Mr. Major would have to shake hands with Sinn Féin representatives. Republican protesters gathered outside the museum. Extra police were drafted in to try and clear a passageway for the Prime Minister, but angry clashes broke out and the situation soon went out of control. Among those in the thick of what had quickly turned into street rioting was Sinn Féin councillor Mary Nelis. It soon became apparent that there was no possible way the Prime Minister could be brought anywhere near this situation, and the visit was abandoned. But by now the crowd had got a taste for violence, and scenes reminiscent of the worst years of the Troubles ensued. Afterwards, Sinn Féin's Mitchell McLaughlin said the RUC's attempt to control the demonstration had been to blame.
What raised the temperature and where the situation got out of control was when the RUC moved in. And not only that, but the RUC had actually broken an arrangement, an agreement that they had that would have permitted the protesters to stay where they were and would have permitted access to the British Prime Minister and his party.
Mitchell, are you blaming all of this on the RUC?
No, I said it's a combination of circumstances. What I do blame the RUC for, and I think we're entitled to blame them, is that as a professional police service, they should have understood that there was the potential here. And I think for yourselves, you witnessed the fact that the RUC had no game plan. They had no crowd control measures, no crowd barriers, and no passageway created that they could have defended for for John Major and his party. And I think we have to ask questions why.
Within the past half hour, Mr Major has returned to Londonderry and is carrying out a walkabout in Guildhall Square. He said it was ludicrous to blame the police when many of them had been injured.
And within the last few minutes, the Prime Minister gave his reaction to Tom Bradby of ITN.
Well, what we saw this afternoon was a riot organised, so far as one can tell, by Sinn Féin. Now, Mr McLaughlin, the national chairman of Sinn Féin, said this morning that he was preparing to confront me. I don't know whether this is what he meant by confront or whether it was something that just got out of hand. But what is absolutely clear is this. I was invited to come here by the Mayor of Derry to look at the exhibition to commemorate the remarkable role that the city played in the Atlantic War. I don't believe any part of the United Kingdom can be banned to the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. As soon as the police advised it was possible, I thought it was right to come here and have a look at this exhibition.
Do you believe this will do any long-term damage to the peace process?
Well, the peace process is a good deal bigger than the people who've misbehaved themselves here this afternoon. Right the way across Northern Ireland, there are people who wish the peace process well, people who are working hard for the peace process. Now, this afternoon, some people have shown the wrong side of Northern Ireland politics. We don't know how many of those people yet, a few hundred at most. We don't know what the reaction to that will be. I very much hope, now that they have the freedom to appear directly and live on television, that Mr Adams, Mr McGuinness and Mr McLaughlin will get on television and without any reserve whatsoever will unequivocally denounce what has happened here in Derry this afternoon. They have the opportunity. They say they wanted to be treated like other democratic parties. Well, I invite them now to behave like other democratic parties and to denounce the riot that we've seen here in Derry this afternoon.
A few minutes ago, Sinn Féin weren't apologising. They were saying that it was entirely the RUC's fault.
Well, that's absolutely ludicrous. I mentioned to you a moment ago what McLaughlin said. It wasn't the RUC pounding the crowd with bottles and bricks. I think the cameras show that perfectly clearly. It was the RUC being pounded by Sinn Féin supporters with bottles and with bricks. It's RUC people who are injured. That sort of double talk just shows how far Sinn Féin sometimes are from understanding what democracy means.
Political implications. The Prime Minister had been due to tour here at the city's award-winning Tower Museum at 20 to 3 this afternoon, but protesters, some waving Republican flags, blocked the route. The RUC moved in to clear the way, and it was not long before the situation became ugly. As officers attempted to drag the demonstrators out of the way, it was clear that what had been a pocket of violence was growing out of hand. The demonstrators, aware of the cameras, chanted that the whole world was watching. And as the pushing and scuffling continued, there were taunts for the still-to-arrive Prime Minister. Gradually, it appeared the situation outside the museum was calming down and being brought under control. But at the same time, just a short distance away, trouble was erupting outside the town hall. As police moved in, missiles were hurled. It was during this time that officials decided to cancel Mr Major's visit, the Deputy Lord Mayor saying police could not guarantee the Prime Minister's safety. But then, just about 5:30, it emerged that John Major had arrived after all. Incensed by the trouble, he walked up to ITN's Ireland correspondent to be interviewed live on the early evening news.
OK. We're about a minute away, Prime Minister.
And what are we doing?
It's me interviewing you, if that's OK.
For how long?
Just about today. For about 2 or 3 minutes, if that's all right.
A minute later, live on air,